So, welcome to this week's episode of Coffee Talk. If you have just joined, Coffee Talks are short in-between episodes where we read your user-submitted stories, hang out with friends, talk about witchy pop culture, or chat with you about what's going on in our personal practices.
If you're somebody who would like to be featured in Coffee Talk, feel free to email us at submissions@coffeeandcauldrons.com, or you can send us your submission on our website, coffeeandcauldrons.com, via the submission form. You can send us your tips, your ghost stories, or any kind of funny story that you think the community would love to hear. Be sure to let us know if we can share your name or if you'd prefer to be anonymous. Your social media usernames are a great way to take credit, or to get credit, not take credit.
Yes, we'll take the credit. Thank you.
Last week's episode, our main episode, there was some reference to something that had happened with me that we had discussed off mic. Mm-hmm. And so we promised that we would tell the story this week, so I'm going to tell you guys that, and then we have a couple of really good ghost stories.
Yes. I'm very excited to read ghost stories. I feel like we haven't done it in forever.
I know. It felt like so long. It's really only been like about a month, but I feel like the last month has felt like 9 years, so.
That it has.
It is like dragged on.
It's been so long, but it's also like, for me, it's been like a good, like, long period. Yeah. Without, like, besides the flare and, all that, but it's fine.
Besides your ongoing chronic illness?
Yeah. So when that flares its ugly head, like, it's horrible. But the in-between was great. I mean, ton of time reading, it's fine. So it evens out. Okay, tell us your story. I'm sorry.
Okay, so the last episode, you guys probably heard all of us say things like, "That's crazy." And what happened is, I had a really bad experience with my car. Basically, I have an extended warranty. They weren't honoring it. I went in a total of 5 times before they fixed the thing they broke on my car while giving it an oil change. And the people were just like, they were dodging me. It was really bad. It was just like, I don't even know how to like describe this. It was honestly the worst customer service ever in my life, to the point that I called Ford, like the main Ford hotline or whatever. And I had this incredibly kind Southern woman who was like blown away about what was happening to me. And she kept going, "Wow, that is crazy. That is just crazy, babe. I can't believe it. That's crazy." And so off mic, I had told the gory details about what happened. And I'm not going to get into it. Nobody cares about my car. But because of that, Marie and I and Riss couldn't stop saying "that's crazy." So
it's this Southern accent that does it for me.
Thanks. I feel like you guys have to know about it at least a little bit here, because I have this hunch that Marie and I will be saying it a lot moving forward.
No way. That's crazy.
That's crazy. Oh my God. I can't believe it. So yeah. No. My car is now fixed though, for anybody who is concerned or worried. They did end up, after I was very polite and calm and centered on the phone with the manager, and at one point he told me there was no need to swear, and I was like, if you knew me at all, buddy, you'd be knowing that you should feel blessed. This is the first time that I'm swearing, and it's not directed at you. It's directed at the whole thing. So, but they did end up picking my car up. They picked my car up. They filled my tank. They detailed the car and fixed their mistake. So it is behind us now, but that was it. That was crazy.
Yeah.
It was ridiculous.
Would not want to experience that at all. That was horrible.
I just couldn't believe it. It just one of those things where it just kept happening, For those of you obviously who don't know, because why would you? I took my car in for an oil change at the beginning of October. They broke something on my car and it was fixed a week ago. After I took them in 5 times, the 6th time they came and got it, and that's when it got fixed. It's crazy.
That's crazy.
And then when they fixed it the one time, they then broke something else, and that's why they had to come pick up the car. Because I was like, I'm gonna blow up a dealership. I'm going to redact it, okay?
So what you're saying is not to go to the Ford dealership near you. Okay, sounds great.
No, really don't. I honestly couldn't believe it. I was talking with a family friend of mine who was like, car dealerships are the last place that you typically get good customer service. This is crazy. And I was like, it's crazy. It's so crazy. It was just nuts. I couldn't believe it. I was stunned. I was shocked. I was appalled. Yeah. So anyway, it's fixed now, but whew.
So what have you been doing in your practice lately? Or do you have like any ghost stories?
I have really just kind of been focusing. I've been refocusing for myself on meditation. Again, for everyone who doesn't know this, because they wouldn't, I've been having a really bad personal flare-up with my chronic depression and anxiety, and I've been on struggle street a little bit, getting better now, feeling a lot better now, so... But because of that, I've been really focusing for myself on re-grounding in my meditation practice and just trying to like find that, I don't know, peace again, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. What about you?
So I've been going through like the epitome of like a hermit period where I've been very like, you know, loving the solitude and like reading like a whole bunch and doing like a bunch of like diving into witchy books, like completely diving in and doing my best to cut my bad phone habit, and I think I've been doing a pretty great job. Mm-hmm. But I've actually been really liking my little hermit period. I feel like I'm learning a lot and I'm enjoying reading again. I mean, I feel way more accomplished when I, have read like a chapter, even if it's out of a fantasy book. I've read a chapter out of a fantasy book rather than like going on TikTok for like 2 hours.
TikTok is addicting. Like,
it's horrible.
It just is straight to the old dopamine receptors. It is not ideal. It really isn't.
Not. It is not.
Wild. The whole thing is wild.
Yeah, and then with the whole hermit thing, like I'm really like, I think this year I really want to concentrate on like the equinoxes and solstices and the mid periods a lot more. I want to completely like every time like I come up with a game plan about how I want to really like celebrate with my family. I mean, we do most of the major ones, but I want to make it a point to try to do it every single time. It doesn't have to be on the exact date or anything, but
sure, yeah.
Like, yeah.
Well,
but like
that's part of the whole thing with like the wheel of the year in general and our personal wheel of the years, right? Is that it's not about necessarily being perfect or sticking to things exactly. It's about kind of creating that routine, that life, those rituals, those personal family rituals.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. So we're already planning for our midwinter one, or Embolic if you celebrate. So we are going to make like some spicy foods and like do some self-love spells out of the family. And I think it's going to be a lot of fun. And I'm very excited. Oh, I do have a witchy book recommendation. So I've been reading The Great Witch of Brittany. It is really good. Okay. It's actually about a Romani woman, like from when she's a child all the way up till like she dies, which she's very, very old. It's not going to be some like tragic end, I promise. But it's really good. And it was super magical. And I cried a bunch through it, but it was still like really good. And I would reread it. I'm not sure about the historical accuracies of the Romani and how they like, celebrated like basically the wheel of the year, but it was really magical, and it did cover like prejudice and, you know, racial injustice and stuff like that, which I thought was very, like, you know, that's important, especially during that time period, because it kind of takes place during like the French Revolution. Not that it's not important now, but you know,
right?
what I
No,
mean.
of course. But you know, actually going off of that, the idea of that is, to my knowledge, that during the French particularly were horrific, the most horrific.
That
to
was the
Romani
whole
people.
thing about it. Yeah.
And that was at like its all-time high during the French Revolution. So I mean, granted, I'm by no means a traveler historian or anything like that, or a Romani historian, but it's what I am, what my knowledge, and which is admittedly limited and might be wrong, is that was the case.
Yeah. So, but it's a very good book. I mean, I read it
I want to read it.
like
Send it to me.
5 days. Okay, I will.
Wow.
I read it in 5 days. It is a pretty... I told you, I've been on a roll with reading. Like,
I love that.
It's been great. And ghost-wise, like, I keep seeing stuff like out of the corner of my eyes, but nothing's like made itself known. So it's like the normal
I've been
average,
having
like, ghostly stuff.
A lot of like peripheral stuff, which I'm just discrediting and saying that I'm having some sort of like eyeball problem. I should probably see a doctor. I don't know. Probably.
See, like, at first I was like, no, that's nothing. But then it keeps happening, and there's like no reason for it to be happening. It's like someone keeps walking by my bathroom door. Why does someone keep walking by my bathroom door? And no one's obviously home or something. And I don't know. It's probably just like a guide or a house spirit just walking around, just chilling. It's fine.
So we have a couple of ghost stories to read. We're only going to read 2 this week, but they're a little bit longer. Maria, do you want to read our first one?
I sure do. So this one, I'm allowed to say their name, and their name is Isabel. So they write, I have a bookshelf where all my witchy books are. I also have 3 magazines which I had placed on my shelf standing up a few days before. For many days they stood upright standing until one night I had woken up in the middle of the night with an uneasy feeling in my head and my stomach. I felt kind of afraid, but didn't have any reason why. I sat up and looked at my bookshelf. It was right across from me. Then the magazines flopped over onto the floor. I started feeling scared. Why had the magazines had fallen, even though they have been standing? I tried telling myself that gravity decided to take over this one night. I looked over at the crack of my door. The bottom of the door has a space in between the floor and itself. My parents and dogs were sleeping, so it would be impossible for at the fact that I saw a shadow walk across the base of the floor. I even heard as if jeans were rubbing together, like walking. I've seen and heard the shadow many, many times before that, but combined with the magazines, I couldn't take the fear. I went to my parents' room to tell them about what happened. As I stepped into the room, either my brain has been clouded by fear or whatever it was haunting me. I thought I saw that my parents weren't in their bed. Coming closer to their bedside, I saw my mom's head on her pillow, so I eased up. I told her what happened in the morning, and she said to shrug it off. I continued to see and hear the shadow many times after until I got sick of it and did a blessing spell for myself, and then it was gone. My grandparents recently had to put down their Jack Russell Ranger. My grandparents really missed him. My mom and I would go to their house frequently to take care of them and help them. But one time when we were eating lunch, something happened. When Ranger was alive, he would go underneath my grandparents' dining table searching for crumbs. He was known for that, and it would drive me crazy. But today, I was eating so peacefully when I felt pressure on my ankle, followed by something that seemed to lick. I looked down. I was about to yell, "Ranger!" Then I saw nothing. I instantly knew what happened. I want to let you know that your podcast is amazing and you should definitely continue. I hope that you all are doing well and had a happy holiday. And we did.
Thank you. That was very nice.
I don't know about the licking thing. That reminds me of that urban legend.
Also, let's talk about that. What in the fucking ghost is that? And I don't mean ghosts in the story. I mean ghosts in the Patrick Swayze movie.
Like, I get it's a dog and dogs do that. Like, it's fine. But that whole urban legend about, putting the hand underneath the bed and the guy licking it. No. I can't. No.
That's disgusting. Hate it. Thank
Nothing
you so
like
much.
Ghost saliva on your ankle. Delicious.
Oh my gosh.
What's your story?
So this one, the submitter has not told us if we can use their name or not. So I'm going to tread on the safe side and say that we cannot. So it reads, "Hey y'all, I just wanted to say that it's been a joy listening to your podcast since the world went to hell in a handbasket in 2020. Just within the last year, I've decided to be more open to receiving messages from spirits, and I thought that I'd share a story that happened in December of 2022. My partner lost his grandmother on his birthday this year. As traumatizing as that might seem, she apparently told my partner that she'd be leaving ahead of time, and the situation was handled with a lot of love and respect for her. On the evening of her passing, I stayed in the den with her sisters as they reminisced and prayed. I kept hearing a deep ringing inside my head, but I thought it was an onset of a migraine. The ringing continued until I saw my partner return from the bedroom where her body was. I mentioned the ringing to him, and he joked, maybe it's her. So, as wild as it might seem, I asked her to please tell me what she was wanting to say, and I do my best to understand. I closed my eyes and I tried to enter a meditative state where I could hopefully receive any messages, if there were any. I distinctively heard the words, please give, and saw an image of a yellowed box with a very specific pattern. I'd never seen it anywhere before, and it was nowhere to be found in the house, so I paid it no mind, and I thought that it was just a migraine after all. The next day, we paid a visit to my partner's mother's house. She mentioned she took 2 boxes from her mother's house. One of the boxes was the yellowed box with the distinct pattern that I had seen. My jaw dropped. My partner and his mother attempted to unlock the box with a key and safety pins, but they couldn't get it open. Still in disbelief, I asked if I could please see it. The box instantly opened in my hands, and I told my partner and his mother, who had come running into the kitchen. Inside was an old letter from the 50s and a gold medallion of Our Lady of Guadalupe. His mother was delighted, but said that she couldn't hold on to her mother's jewelry without sharing with her siblings. A few days later, I saw an almost identical medallion at a store, and I bought it for her. I know her mother wanted her to have that medallion. On the day of her rosary, I asked my partner to please give his mother the medallion, then explained to her the significance. His mother was the only one raised Protestant of her siblings. Those of us who grew up with her know that Our Lady of Guadalupe is the mother of all mothers, and is there when we feel alone. I know her mother wanted to remind her that she was not alone, and she appreciated the gift. It's really sweet.
I'm not crying.
It's so sweet.
That was such a cute story.
It is. It's really, really sweet, and I think it's nice that I understand the partner's mother's perspective of I have siblings, I can't just keep this to myself. But I would agree that especially given all the circumstances, the departed grandmother, that's probably at least very close to the intention that was there. So I think that's really nice.
Mm-hmm. It's nice that, some people would be like, well, I found this, it's mine. So it's good to have a healthy relationship where you're like, I'm going to share this with my siblings. Yeah. That's very good.
I think it's sweet.
That is very sweet. I like that story.
Me too. I think it's a nice way to end this episode.
Me too. Well, thank you so much, guys, for sharing your stories with us.
Yeah, thank you all so much for joining us this week for Coffee Talk. We hope that we will see you next week for our regular episode, and you can check out our website for links to submission forms or shoot us an email at submissions@coffeeandcauldrons.com to tell us any ghost stories, witchy stories, tips, or topics that you think the community would love to hear.
As always, if you enjoy Coffee and Cauldrons, please take a moment to review us on Apple Podcasts. Or if you want to support us directly, consider joining us on Patreon, where we share articles, a special Part 2 exclusive episode, and have a Spell of the Month box and a Discord.
Mm-hmm. And so, the day actually that 2 days after this episode comes out, we have a class on shadow work hosted by Riz Cottrell. So please hop on over, get into the library tier, and join us for that.
Yeah, we even on the Discord, we're going to be doing a group ritual to make our own intuition oil. So if you want to join that, please come and join us because it's going to be fun and it's going to be cool. So,
yeah. All right. Well, bye.
Bye.